Joe, I want to bring in a soundbite from Congressman Jim Himes. Admittedly, full disclosure, he is my congressman, but it shows that even Democrats are getting sick and tired of Joe Biden and his administration's lack of answers. Listen.
Why is the American military shooting something out of the sky over Canada?
Because it's part of NORAD. There is the NORAD is part of like it's a what you call a coalition, a consortium,
a pact of nations.
A pact,
okay.
exactly. We didn't do it on our own. We did it clearly in step with Canada.
I have real concerns about why the administration is not being more forthcoming with everything that it knows. But part of the problem here is that both of the second and the third objects were shot down in very remote areas. So my guess is that there's just not a lot of information out there yet to share.
I mean, Joe, you heard KJP try to explain what NORAD was. That was another train wreck. And then you have Himes, a ranking member of the Intel Committee, calling out the White House. Isn't this even more proof that the White House is bungling this and really putting our national security at risk?
Yeah, Todd, Jim Himes can't defend the indefensible, right? And you saw Chuck Schumer, I believe it was on Meet the Press yesterday, saying, no, actually, it's China. They're the ones who should be embarrassed here. I mean, get that man a good chiropractor, because we had a Chinese spy balloon do a Clark Griswold across the country, including over ICBM sites, and we look like the competent ones. The bottom line is right now, there is a severe trust factor when it comes to this administration and this president regarding these objects being shot down everywhere from Michigan to Alaska. It's days later, and we still have no idea what they are or where they came from. And the president was at the White House all weekend. That's a rarity, as you know. It was for a black tie event on Saturday night, and he couldn't be bothered to answer reporter questions or simply go in front of the microphones and make a statement to reassure the country that this is all under control. And now we're hearing, per Brooks report, that the Pentagon can't rule out the possibility that these objects shot down were UFOs. I mean, so if that's the case, we're led to believe that ET doesn't want to visit London or Berlin or Sydney. They're only interested in Alaska and our northern border. I mean, everything is as clear as mud at this point, and there's many more questions than answers because of the lack of transparency. That's the key word here, and anything regarding a definitive answer out of this administration, guys.
Yeah, and Joe, to that point, the aliens very interested in Joe Biden's State of the Union, coordinating all this activity with that week, but I digress, Ashley.
At this point, I think I'd rather aliens in China invade our airspace. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Do you think, Joe, do you think, honestly, in all seriousness, do you think with everything that's transpired in the last week and a half, you talk about the president being at the White House all weekend, would it even make a difference at this point if he got up to the podium, took reporter questions, and addressed the nation, or do you think too much time has gone by?
I think at this point, it at least would show some sort of effort to show transparency. But to your point, Ashley, we're talking now that Chinese spy balloon was, what, 11 days ago? And we've barely heard much about why we allowed it to go across our country before we shot it down over the South Carolina coast, and why it wasn't intercepted the minute it entered, not Montana, but Alaska and that airspace. NORAD was caught off guard here, as was our military, and that is disturbing.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.